What's up, guys? I'm showing you my model railroad layout as of today. Benchwork is considerably complete for the just the basic setup of these two boards, except that the legs are missing, but I'm gonna get legs very soon when money comes, I guess. So it's a very simple assortment. So what you're seeing here is two completed 2 foot by 8 foot boards. Now that this side is just complete, I could actually disassemble the clamps, but that'll be later. And then right here is just a look at the Manatee. This board's going to be Manatee, and here's 0717 with the 4305, which is on 0721 of the second. So it's all fun and games there. Number 8 crossover for Manatee. And about just a very typical consist that you see. So well, I'm going to mention that right now, that some screws are like that, but to me, since there's going to be extruded foam on top at some point, it doesn't matter. To achieve this design or setup, the purpose of doing the stud and board arrangement, even though some studs are very crooked, is just so the table is not crooked, and it seems to serve its purpose. The table is very flat. It's the flattest it's ever been. And back there we have studs that are actually straight, like here, like you see here. So to achieve that, I mean I just basically screwed them down. I may reinforce those, like the studs on the wide section, by screwing in some long wood screws. But then those require long drill bits. I don't know what I have for drill bits, just those. Maybe it's one of the large ones, who knows. So what I did was I got 5 studs, as you may have seen from one of the earlier videos, the sanding video. They cut one of the 5 to make the 4 small 2 foot sections. And I actually did further cutting at home, so it could fit between these. They are Home Depot Erring brand, and they come on CSX 0717, so it's kind of it's like a cycle. And out here, you can see that there's screws going out. As I said, there's going to be liquid nails and extruded foam on top, so it doesn't matter. Even if I were just to build on this, it's actually pretty easy just to cover it up with like some plaster or whatever. So to that end, it was very simple. It took like a few days. I mean, I'd say it was a simple job because it doesn't require much measurements, just making sure that these fit. And this is a reinforcing job, and there's going to be fascia covering it. But to get it down, I used up a whole Martin Luther King Jr. weekend. I used up another weekend. And the process was very simple. First, I have drilled in the hole. For some holes like these, they were very narrow bits. These had larger bits. These were leftover screws, and these are new screws. Use a drill bit like this to do the newer ones that I actually bought from Home Depot. The rest are funded from the house. And then the second drill bit that I imposed was the anchor drill, well, like the screw indentation drill bit. I don't know what it's exactly called. What you see here is it has like an angle so the wood screws can actually fit without protruding. And for the wider screws, that required a third step, which was using a much wider bit, but the wider bit didn't have this part. So for that, so it's a 3-step process times many. It took maybe a couple minutes, and some screws just didn't, and some bits took a while just to get in. I had like 2 or 3 occasions where drill bits were stuck. One of them it actually broke in half, but that's the trials and errors of model railroading. It killed the bit, sadly, but the rest just worked out pretty well. And there were a couple screws that were completely stuck, and it was a bitch to get them out. Oh, it was horrible. Like, I had to use a clamp, like you see there, a wire cutting clamp. Fix it on the screw and manage to twirl it and revolve it around itself. Took a couple minutes per screw, but it eventually got out. The job was done using gloves and goggles. Goggles are in the room. Since I was without a camcorder in this whole process, I couldn't really do a hands-on video, but maybe when I do a third or fourth section, I will make it more hands-on. And to get the screws in, I use a screwdriver, very simple, and it worked pretty much for the most part. Using a drill would actually snare the cross anchor here, which would make it like impossible to screw in or screw out. So that's one of the big problems with that. So that's why I used a gentle little screwdriver, like that. You see there. So yeah, it's a little messy, but whatever. Oh, speaking of which, there's the third drill bit that I mentioned, one without, which I guess lost its section before I used it. And voila, you have two completed tabletops. So you're gonna see model railroading is very time consuming, and 0717 with the 4305. Let's take a look at that. Oh yeah. So here he is coming through Manatee. Woo. There's obviously no power. I don't even have the power source, DCC. So when that is done, I'm gonna run to Lowe's, get a foam. I think the blue board should do it, or not. Or I don't know. Well, I'm gonna ask around model railroad forums, see if they haven't. I would like you to leave a comment if you know of a good foam board that I could just get in South Florida, because it's hard to get. What Lance Meinheim has, it's impossible to get. So I could have a nice South Florida Miami sub. Like the terrain is very relieved here, but the tracks have an incredible roadbed that levels at about 6 feet above, and that's just perfect for an HO scale with 1-inch thickness. So I can't wait to get that accomplished. And as far as difficulties, one recommendation I have: get the board in the winter and get the studs in the winter. They'll probably be less warped than they were because I got these in humid summer, so that's one thing. Another thing, always use gloves, always use protective eyewear, especially when drilling. When screwing is less important. And always collect your grains in the bag, I guess. I don't know, it's just a little thing I rigged. I use a pick-a-brick lid to scoop it out. Sometimes I allowed it to fill in so it would cause less stress. And and all I can say is it is slightly time consuming to do it this way. So just be very patient, like don't rush sometimes, and just enjoy the ride. And of course this room has to be super reorganized. I apologize for the inconvenience of the mess here, but that's another thing. I mean, it won't speed it up, but it will allow for better workspace, and it will allow me to go to plan even better. I plan to have some kind of like a spiral layout around here, so it just looks, so I maximize my space. So yeah. And the roster, the rolling stock, is pretty much to specification, except this UP boxcar is not exact. Should I decide to sell this one, I think this one I'm going to sell very soon. It is not a CSX train boxcar, but what I have to do to this one is I'm just going to tag it and weather it, and then I'll sell it. And I'm going to try to do a practical video then with how to. And those boxcars are definitely stock for this layout. So yeah. Oh, I forgot to say wood glue was an instrument in doing this, but I think the screws did a stronger job because the wood glue is just some kind of reinforcement. And always use clamps to hold your wood. To do this, it also required some of the work to be done with the setup upside down. So you have to be very good. You have to handle rotating the wooden boards quite a bit, especially on the first screws. You're placing the glue section for the studs. I mean, the studs are going to be always an instrumental part, just to keep it reinforced. Lance Mannheim's Benchwork has studs, and then the the foam, the extruded foam. So there you go. A layout update complete. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see y'all soon. TE out.